I'm using a Dutch auger to hand auger a hole in this clay loam. We're down to just about at the water table. The clay is quite wet. And this is a nice style auger for this material because the material is quite sticky, quite cohesive, but we can easily clear the auger of this material. Let me show you what happens when we use this style auger. This is a bucket auger. This works well in non-cohesive material or in slightly cohesive material, in coarser material, but it's not so good in this sticky cohesive material. So here's the bucket auger in the clay loam, and you can see it gets a great sample. A lot of material coming out, so that's good. But now we've got to clear it out of this tube in order to get another sample or to advance the hole deeper, and it's pretty sticky. So I'm not really going to be able to get it out unless I get something to push it out with. So I've got this rod, and let's see if we can clear out this bucket auger. The rod. So we can get the material out and we can recover it. We should describe it and then move on. But so this works. It's possible to use this kind of auger, but it's just a more cumbersome to clear the cuttings out of it. Okay, we're ready to complete this hole as a shallow piezometer. I have the well screen and the casing here. This is 1/2-inch PVC. This is a slotted screen here, 1 foot long, and we've got a cap on the bottom. And the hole is 6.5 feet deep, so I marked 6.5 feet right here. What I'm going to do is put this in, push it into the bottom, and then we'll complete the gravel bag. So a little bit soft. There's the bottom of the hole. Okay, so I've got the casing in to depth. This is my 6.5 foot mark. And now I'm going to put a sand pack around that screen. What I've done is draw out a little sketch of what I want the well to look like in my notes here. 6.5 feet deep. I've got a 1 foot screen, and I want to have sand up covering the screen and then 6 inches above the screen. So I'll have 18 inches of sand in the bottom of the hole. Here's my sand. Got a bag of it here. I'm going to put it in using this. This is just a water bottle that I've cut off, but it allowed me to put in a standard volume each time. And I'm going to use this rod here to measure the depth to the bottom of the hole. And as I put the sand in, the depth should rise up. And so I've got this rod marked at 6.5 feet, so I can push it in, and it goes to the bottom of the hole. And we can see, if we'll pull it out, you can see that there's some water in the bottom of the hole. So that's encouraging. And now I'm going to put the sand in, and I'm going to put it in gradually, and I'm going to use this rod to tap and locate the sand, because this is a sticky borehole wall, and as I put the sand in, it's going to tend to stick to the borehole wall, and I need to make sure that it gets down to the bottom of the hole. I can hear it hitting the water. So I'll put that cup in. I don't want to put too much, because if I'm getting a bridge, I don't want to have the bridge be so thick that I can't get through it. So there I'm starting to hit some sand, but I can push through it, kind of knock it loose. So it's real important that you verify this. If I would just have filled up the necessary amount of sand, it wouldn't have made it down to the bottom of the hole. So I can feel that sand now sinking down through the water, and seal it down at the bottom of the hole. Now you have to be careful because if you push down, you can just push through the sand. And so you have to use a little bit of a touch here to really feel where that sand is, but it feels to me like it's right about here. And that seems like it makes sense. If I add this volume of sand to this hole, it seems like it should be about that much. So what I'm going to do now is add another cup, and I'm going to just put a mark here to show that this is where I was with the last cup. So because the sand was hanging up that last time, I'm going to just keep rodding it as I put it in. And I can feel it bridging as I put it in. It's bridging slightly, and I'm progressively knocking it loose. Okay, so now it goes into there. That looks good. And we want to have it go 18 inches. So let's just check and see where that is. Right there. So when this mark gets up to there, I have 18 inches of sand. Okay, so we've added more sand, and now I've got a nice solid pack, 18 inches from the bottom of the hole, ready now to put the bentonite in to seal the top of the sand. So we have the filter pack in this well, and now I need to put some bentonite on top of the filter pack in order to seal the top. So I'm going to put 8 inches of bentonite, and this is the stuff I'm going to use. It's called hole plug, and this is granular chunks of bentonite. Looks like coarse gravel, but these are chunks of pressed bentonite. And so I'll put this in, and the procedure will be similar to what I use for the sand. So I'll use this rod to verify the depth. Put it in, verify that it's getting to the bottom. This stuff is particularly prone to bridging. Okay, so 1.5 scoops. Looks like it does it. That's a hard pack of bentonite, and I've got a little bit more than 8 inches. One thing to keep in mind is that if you put in just a small amount, and this is registering that you're very high up, then probably it's bridged and you have a gap underneath. But we're getting about 6 inches of material in here per scoop. So I went 8 inches, and 1.5 scoops is about right. So we have a bentonite seal on top of the filter pack, and this is now ready to take a reading. If I was going to leave this well, I would fill the rest of it up with bentonite. But we're just going to use this well temporarily to get a water level reading, and then we'll pull it out and abandon it. So to get a reading, we're going to want to cut it off and then use the water level tool. So we cut off the casing, and now we're ready to take an initial water level reading. So the piezometer is working, and I've got an initial reading here that I'll write down in my book. Now, we could take just a preliminary sample of the water, but we would first need to purge the well. So a good way to do that is with an inertial sampler. It's a piece of tubing with a check valve on the bottom. You put it in and then pump water out until you get at least 3 wellbore volumes, or and the well also, or the water needs to be coming up clean. So we'll be doing that, but we don't have one here right now, so we'll have to show you the inertial sampler later. This was just created as a temporary piezometer, so when we're done, we need to pull it out and abandon it and restore the site. So in most cases, we can just lift up and pull this out. We get the casing out, and now we need to seal this hole up. So I'm going to add some bentonite. And bring it up to about a foot or so from the ground surface. And then the surface materials, I'm going to just use some of the cuttings that we pulled out of the hole when we initially created it. That way we won't have bentonite exposed right at the ground surface. So I can put this material in and then pack it down in there so it's firm. And fill the remaining hole up with the cuttings and then smooth it off. And so now we have a hole that's sealed and restored, and it's as if we've never been here.